The Minnesota Timberwolves eliminate the LA Lakers in 5 games. ESPN, shut your pie hole. 10 out of 10 quote unquote experts decided to pick the Los Angeles Lakers over the Minnesota Timberwolves to begin this series. Not one single ESPN expert picked the Minnesota Timberwolves to win this series. We're going to dive into it all. Game 5, the series, the magic. But first, I need to tell you about 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. My wife and I were in the market for a bathroom remodel. We needed one desperately because our bathroom was gross, disgusting, embarrassing, outdated. And we found 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. And the reason why we found them is because they promise to remodel your bathroom. It could be in as little as 24 hours. For us, an entire bathroom took 48 hours. Take a look at the video of this old floor that we had and this old bathroom. We had a moldy shower, didn't have to outsource that. Handbars, gross. Step, gross. Didn't have to outsource any of this. 5-Star Bath Solutions took care of everything for us. And they'll take care of it for you too. Modern, updated, new floor, bathtub, shower surround, new vanity, double sink, everything that we could have dreamed of. And they remodeled this in 48 hours. No more cramming into your teeny tiny bathroom downstairs getting ready for work or for the day. No more, oh crap, can you go pee? I gotta pee too. Let's take turns. Our bathroom is fully remodeled. And now we have 2 bathrooms. We're not stuck in one. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis is the best bathroom remodel for you. Free consultations available, affordable payment plans. Here's the thing about 5-Star Bath Solutions. I got quotes from other places too. It was the same or even less to go with 5-Star Bath Solutions. And the project is done in 48 hours. The most obvious decision you could ever make. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. Okay, so the Timberwolves defeated the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 5 and eliminated the Lakers from playoff contention. They won 103-96. And the Timberwolves get off to a hot start. The Lakers take their first lead in the third quarter because of a Finney-Smith 3-point shot. And then in the fourth quarter, the Timberwolves have done what they've done all series, which I think is the most shocking part of the entire series. I am not surprised that the Timberwolves beat the Lakers. In fact, going into the playoffs, one of my premier matchups that I wanted the Timberwolves to face was the Lakers. I would have rather faced the Lakers than the Nuggets, even though the Timberwolves have been so successful against the Nuggets in recent years. I would have rather faced the Lakers than the Clippers, than even the Warriors. Because they're old, they're slow, and they don't have centers that can defend the rim. And that's exactly what happened. But the most surprising thing in this entire series was how the Timberwolves performed in the fourth quarter of these ball games. Because although I love the Timberwolves' chances to beat the Lakers, the one fear that I had was down the stretch, if the games are close, Luka Doncic is a better clutch time performer than Anthony Edwards. And LeBron James is arguably the greatest player of all time. So you take those 2 players down the stretch in clutch basketball games versus Anthony Edwards. And who are you taking? You're taking Luka and LeBron 100% of the time. But what happened in this series? In the fourth quarter, the Timberwolves outscored the Lakers by 42 this series. And it wasn't about Anthony Edwards scoring down the stretch. It was all about Anthony Edwards getting past these slow poke defenders that are on the Lakers roster and kicking it out to three-point shooters or finding guys that then find other guys wide open. Because what the Lakers did in this series is they basically brought two to Anthony Edwards every time that he had the ball. And Anthony Edwards made leaps and bounds in this series because instead of trying to jack three-point shots and play hero ball like he does throughout the regular season, tries to be the hero, tries to make that last shot, tries to do these things that really he shouldn't, Edwards made the right basketball play. He found it to the open guy and trusted that open guy to find the next open guy. And that's how the Timberwolves defeated the Lakers in crunch time. It was because Anthony Edwards made the right basketball play. Even in Game 5, down the stretch, Rui Hachimura knocks down another three because the guy could not miss in the last two games of the series. It's 97-94. The Timberwolves got to put him away. You don't want to give Luka and LeBron a chance to tie with about a minute left. Anthony Edwards finds a seam, gets into the paint, kicks it out to Mike Conley for the corner three, who wouldn't have even been in the game if Jaden McDaniels did not foul out earlier in the fourth quarter. So somehow, despite the Lakers having the two most clutch players on their roster in this series, the Timberwolves outscored the Lakers by 42 in the fourth quarter. And that happened because of Anthony Edwards' decision-making, because of his willingness to be a playmaker for others down the stretch in the fourth quarter. He was not playing hero ball. And although Anthony Edwards was shooting horrifically, air balls, bricks, clank here, clank there, 0 for 11 from the three-point line. He had 11 rebounds, impacted the game from that front, and he had 8 assists, which doesn't include all of the hockey assists that he had in the first half of that ball game. The second half wasn't as pretty, but that first half, Anthony Edwards brought 2. He found a guy who would then find a guy, and that guy knocked down the shot or the dunk. And although that doesn't show up in the stat sheet and Edwards isn't going to get credited with assists, Edwards was making plays so that a teammate could make an easy read to another teammate in that first half. And although statistically, Edwards had a poor game, and from a decision-making standpoint, I would have preferred him to shoot less three-point shots when he did not have it going, he still made the right decision down the stretch to find guys and also to find players in the first half. So, as far as a shooting performance goes, 5 for 19, 0 for 11, barely hit the front rim on a few free throws, just did not have the stroke in Game 5 for whatever reason. But he still was actively being a playmaker offensively for himself and mostly for teammates. So he still played really, really good, despite the terrible shooting performance from Anthony Edwards. One of the big talking points after this game, after Edwards knocked off LeBron, was the superstar players that Anthony Edwards has now knocked out of the playoffs these last 2 years. He knocked off one of his favorite players ever, Kevin Durant, last year in the first round, a complete sweep. Knocked off Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, but Durant is that top name. Second round comes, knocks off Nikola Jokic in 7 games. Loses to Luka in the conference finals. And now this season, he knocks off LeBron James and also gets his sweet revenge against Luka Doncic. So in the last 2 years, Edwards has beaten Durant, LeBron, and Jokic and Luka to advance to another playoff series. And I don't think that I gravitate towards that statistic as much as everybody else does. Because everyone wants to make it a big deal that Edwards knocked off Durant and LeBron. But LeBron is 40. Okay. I get that you have to knock off the king to be the king, whatever. But LeBron's 40 and is still playing at an elite basketball level despite him being 40 years old. And Durant is 35, 36 years old and isn't the player that he once was and isn't in a great situation like he was with Golden State. So as much as people want to make this about Edwards knocking off LeBron and knocking off Kevin Durant, I push back against that a little bit because it's not like these guys are in their prime. The win versus Jokic in Game 7 and over the Denver Nuggets to go and advance to the Western Conference Finals, to me, was way more impressive than knocking off LeBron James and Kevin Durant because Nikola Jokic is in the prime years of his career. He knocks off Durant, he knocks off LeBron, huge basketball names, a generation of talent, top talents in the NBA for years, 1A and 2A, as far as, the years from 2010 to 2020. These guys are the two top players in the league, but they're not the top players in the league anymore. They're not 30 years old in the prime of their career. Edwards knocked them off, but I don't think it's some amazing accomplishment. He knocked off Jokic last year, which was an amazing accomplishment, but beating LeBron, beating Durant when they're outside their prime years, it reminds me a little bit of Michael Jordan beating Magic Johnson. They talk about the torch being passed from Magic to Michael. Well, Michael was already better than Magic. He hadn't won the title yet, but Magic wasn't in the prime of his career in 1991. Magic Johnson was at the tail end of his career in the 1991 NBA Finals. And it wasn't so much about Michael beating Magic Johnson. He was already the better basketball player. It was about Michael winning a title. And I get it. It was Michael beating Magic. Oh, he overthrew one of the greatest talents in NBA history. But it's like, dude, it's not like he beat Magic when Magic was 28, 27 years old in the prime state of his career. It's not like he beat the 1986 Los Angeles Lakers basketball team with a ton of great players on the team. He beat an aging Los Angeles Lakers roster. And this is the same thing for Anthony Edwards. He beat an aging, a still impactful, but not quite as impactful, LeBron James when LeBron James is 40. It'd almost be embarrassing if LeBron James at 40 still beat Anthony Edwards at the age of 23. Yeah, LeBron's got the experience, but the explosiveness is just not there anymore as much as it used to be. And it shouldn't be there. The dude's 40 and has played 22 NBA seasons, which doesn't include the 295 playoff games that he's played throughout his career, which adds on 3.5 more NBA seasons to his career. So he's in totality, he's played 25 NBA seasons, including playoffs. Anthony Edwards should win that matchup. The Timberwolves should have beaten the Los Angeles Lakers because the Timberwolves were just the better team. Top to bottom, the Timberwolves were better, and the Lakers right now are not designed for Luka to perform his best at his best moments because they don't have the rim protectors and the wings that the Dallas Mavericks had that could help Luka tremendously on the defensive side of the ball. LeBron's old and slow. He doesn't guard anybody. Luka is old. Well, not old, but slow. And he doesn't guard anybody. The Lakers don't have guys that can defend. And that's a major problem when it comes to the playoffs. So I was never afraid of the Lakers. And the national media wants to hail the Lakers and pick them to beat the Timberwolves. And we all want to push back against that, talking about how unfair it is. And to a degree, it is, because let's face it, the national media is not going to pay as much attention to small market basketball teams or small market sports teams like the Vikings or the Timberwolves or the Wild or the Twins, unless they get a guy like Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or whatever the case may be. That's the only time that they really give the time and day to franchises in Minnesota if a major marquee player plays for that team. So everyone just kind of bypassed the Timberwolves and said, yeah, Lakers in 5, Lakers in 6. And to be fair, to defend the national media a little bit, this is the same Timberwolves basketball team that was struggling to find their footing all season long. All season long. At the end of the year, they started to find it a little bit versus some crappy competition. They beat Utah, they beat Brooklyn, they beat a falling out of the sky Memphis Grizzlies team. They beat Philadelphia, they beat Brooklyn, they beat Denver in overtime, beat Detroit, beat Phoenix, beat New Orleans. It's like, at the end of the year, it's not like the Timberwolves were wiping out the best of competition. The Timberwolves got a huge break in the fact that at the end of the year, they had one of the easiest basketball schedules to finish off the season and to slide into that number 6 seed. But here's some losses at the end of the year. They lost to the Indiana Pacers bench in overtime. The Pacers rested their starters and played their bench, and the Timberwolves lost on May 17th. The very next game against New Orleans, who had won like 19 games all year, they lost 119 to 115. A few days later versus Indiana, they decide to play everybody. The Timberwolves get blown out 119 to 103. Earlier in the year, the Timberwolves lose to a Milwaukee Bucks team that sat Giannis. So it's not like the Timberwolves were coming into this series with a bunch of pedigree on their table, or like, yeah, they just wiped out the league. They had lost to some of the worst teams in the league throughout the year and lost some matchups they had no right losing during the season. So let's just remember what the Timberwolves were coming with into this playoff series. What kind of resume throughout the regular season did they have? It wasn't pretty. I remember earlier on in the season, Julius Randle whipped a pass to Rudy Gobert, and there was a big conflict. I think it was against the Toronto Raptors. Whoa, he whipped the ball at Gobert. What's going on here? They don't like each other. And I remember having an opinion earlier in the year saying, the Timberwolves don't like playing with each other. There's no joy there. Anthony Edwards has no energy, and he is not having fun because the Timberwolves are struggling to figure out how to play with one another. Well, then it came together at the end of the year versus crappy competition where they got some confidence, and they took that right into the Los Angeles Lakers series because Julius Randle was a beast. Anthony Edwards, for the most part, was a beast offensively and definitely sensational as a playmaker in this series. And then Game 5. Game 5. Rudy Gobert. And the TNT guys had a entertaining show talking about Rudy Gobert. Because, let's face it, offensively, Gobert is garbage. He gets the ball down low, and he's weak for the most part. He gets stripped a ton. He gets stripped a lot. He gets stripped more than a stripper at a strip club. Rudy Gobert, 27 points and 24 rebounds in game 5. When the Timberwolves needed him most, when the Lakers went small, Rudy Gobert dominated the Lakers inside. The amount of offensive rebounds Gobert had in this basketball game was crazy. He had 9 offensive rebounds and 15 defensive rebounds. The Lakers went small, and Rudy Gobert punished them. Going into game 5, here are Rudy Gobert's statistics. Games 1 through game 4, total. Entering game 5, he had 14 points in game 1 through 4. 4 for 13 shooting. 25 total rebounds. And 2 blocks. In game 5 alone, Gobert, 12 for 15, 27 points, 24 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Gobert had 11 more points in game 5 than he did in games 1 through game 4 combined. He only accumulated 1 less rebound in game 5 as he had in games 1 through 4. And he accumulated the same amount of blocks in game 5 as he's had in games 1 through 4. Gobert stepped up when the Timberwolves desperately needed him because the Timberwolves were clanking threes. 7 for 47, a 14.9% three-point percentage in a closeout game versus the Lakers, which is also another lesson. The Timberwolves defensively were spectacular against a Lakers team with Luka Doncic at guard and LeBron James on the wing and Rui Hachimura coming alive at the end of the series. Because you look at what the Timberwolves did defensively against the Lakers. And in this series, game 1, Lakers scored 96. No, that's game 5. Game 1, the Lakers scored 95. Game 2, the Lakers scored 94. Game 3, the Lakers scored 104. Game 4, they score 113. And game 5, the Lakers score 103. There was never at any moment in this series where I thought the Lakers were getting whatever they wanted offensively. And that's how good the Timberwolves were defensively. And really, the NBA playoffs severely favor the Timberwolves because there's a lot of grabbing, a lot of pulling that they do not allow during the regular season, which makes this NBA playoffs experience so much more entertaining across the board. Not just the Timberwolves Lakers series, but the Warriors Rockets series, the Pacers Bucks series, the Knicks Pistons series. The amount of physicality in these playoffs has been something to adore because you don't see this during the regular season. You barely touch a guy and it's a foul. So it's been pretty cool. Timberwolves, they'll have home court advantage if the Warriors beat the Rockets in game 6. And then we'll likely face the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals if they can get past Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. And, so many people make so much about home court advantage, and I think home court advantage is overrated because it only takes 1 win on the road for a team to get home court advantage in their favor. And you see teams win on the road, lose on the road all the time. So home court advantage, whether they face the Rockets or the Warriors, honestly, you'd rather probably face the Rockets. Doesn't matter. But it is cool that the Timberwolves would have home court, that games 1 and games 2 would be played in Minnesota. Wow. Here we go. To imagine where the Timberwolves were earlier on in the year and to look at where they're at now, it's nothing short of amazing. because they were sensational in this series. Thank you for watching, and remember, 5-Star Bass Solutions of Minneapolis. Check them out today. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Hit that subscribe button, rate and review the show wherever you're watching or listening. Everyone have a great day.